Hello, BookTube. It's a beautiful, mild, warm day here in Boston. Clear blue skies and very gentle temperatures. I suspect this will be one of the last days in August, if not the last day of the year, that actually approaches warmth. It's been absolutely lovely, and I've got two book hauls to talk to you about today. The first one is a bunch of new arrivals here at Hyde Cottage. I thought we'd go through some of them. I don't think I've shown you any of these before, and see what we make of them. So this first one is coming out at the end of October, the very end of October, so November. It's a November release. And this is Blood Sisters by Vanessa Lilly. It's a murder mystery. Let's see here. It's a visceral and compelling mystery about a Cherokee archaeologist for the Bureau of Indian Affairs who is summoned to rural Oklahoma to investigate the disappearance of two women, one of them her sister. As an archaeologist for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Sid Walker spends her days in Rhode Island trying to protect the land's indigenous past, even as she's escaping her own. While Sid is dedicated to her job, she's haunted by a night of violence she barely escaped in her Oklahoma hometown 15 years ago. Even though she swore she'd never go back, the past comes calling. When a skull is found near the crime scene of her youth, just as her sister, Emma Lou, vanishes, Sid knows she must return home. She refuses to let her sister's appearance or the remains go ignored, as so often happens in cases of missing Native women. But not everyone is glad to have Sid home, and she can feel the crosshairs on her back. Still, the deeper Sid digs, the more she uncovers about a string of missing Indigenous women cases going back decades. To save her sister, she must expose a darkness in the town that no one wants to face, not even her. So, is this one person who's doing this? Is there one person who's been doing this all along and has just picked the wrong woman, a woman with a federal agent for a sister? Could be. I don't know if this is the start of a series. It sounds like oh, this had a pub sheet all along. I didn't need to read you that. I wonder if this will tell me if this is the first in a series. No, it says it's new. So it may be the first in a series. Who knows? If this does well, we might get more adventures of this character. Okay, so that's the first one, Blood Sisters. Then the next one is science fiction, something still of a rarity on this channel. This is from November. It's by Constance Fay, and it's called Calamity. And let's double check for the sheet here, so I'm not reading this to you for no reason. Here we go. Okay. Okay. This is... Okay, I'm already confused here. This is Tor that brought this out. Oh, they have an imprint called Bramble. I guess that's what this is. This is an imprint called Bramble, and this is the first debut novel that they are bringing out. Equal parts steamy interstellar romance and sci-fi adventure. Perfect for fans of Firefly or Ilona Andrews. Temperance Reed. Okay, no more herons named Temperance. Okay, no more herons. No more herons or heroes with names that are trying to do some of the plot work. Okay, a name's just a name. So no heroines named Temperance, no heroes named Rock, no towns named Deliverance, no, nothing like that. Okay, Temperance Reed, banished from the wealthy and dangerous 15 families, just wants to keep her crew together after their feckless captain ran off with the intern. But she's drowning in debt, and revolutionary new engine technology is about to make her beloved ship obsolete. Enter Arcadio Escajeda, second child of the terrifying Escajeda family. He's the thorn in Temper's side as they sent off on a scouting mission on a backwater desert planet of Herschel 2. They throw sparks every time they meet, and Temper's suspicions of his ulterior motives only serve to fuel the flames between them. Despite volcanic eruptions, secret cultists, and deadly galactic fighters, the greatest threat on their mission may be to Temper's heart. Okay, so this is a romance novel. What was it called again? Bramble. The Bramble imprint may be doing their best here, but this is a romance novel. There's no shame in that at all. As Sarah, the bookish knitter, has pointed out many, many times, the umbrella of romance covers almost everything that you would want to read, every kind of thing you would want to read. Still, this comes out in November. Not exactly hard or tough science fiction, but I'll take it. Then we have a paperback reprint. I think this came out last year. We do have a sheet for this. This comes out at the end of September. This is Stephen Graham Jones, author I really like. This is Don't Fear the Reaper. Again, let's have a moratorium on cliche titles, especially cliche titles that are taken from song lyrics, popular memes or whatnot. Let's just cut that out completely. Let's just stop it completely. But anyway, this comes out in paperback, but I think this came out last year. This is the pub sheet says it is the highly anticipated follow-up to the author's novel My Heart is a Chainsaw, the first novel in his Indian Lake trilogy. Stephen Graham Jones has the gift of blending the literary with the horrific, creating engrossing, visceral tales that reach into the heart of humanity with each sentence, defying and transcending genre. They don't either defy or transcend genre. I guarantee it. Aptly described as the Jordan Peele of horror fiction, he's been called a literary master by the American Book Award winner Tananarive Due, and one of the most talented living writers by Pulitzer Prize finalist Tommy Orange. Let's see what the book's about. Jade Daniels, slasher film aficionado and reformed goth girl, has returned to the rural lake town of Prufrock. Again, I don't care if you spell it, it's spelled here Proo. Again, let's cut this out. Okay, write your book. Don't get your reader or your place names or your proper names to do any writing for you. Okay, let's just write your book. Okay. Let's see here. So Jade has returned home after serving 4 years in prison, the same day as convicted indigenous serial killer Dark Mill South escapes into town to complete his revenge killings. So they're done on the same day. Okay, Dark Mill South is dedicated to completing his revenge for the 38 Dakota men hung in 1862 and won't stop until his mission is complete. Okay, people are hanged, pictures are hung. And are you telling me that his name is Dark Mill? That's his first name, Dark Mill? 2 words, Dark Mill. And also, you can't take revenge on people who are dead. Okay, so let's just move on. The blood begins to spill on December 12, 2019, a Thursday. 36 hours and 20 bodies later, on Friday the 13th, it'll be over. Seasons don't fear the Reaper, and neither does Jade Daniels. Okay, so did you write this, or did Blue Oyster Cult? Let's stop it. Okay, let's cut that out. I know it's clever. I know it feels really neat, but let's stop it. Okay, why don't you take control, creative control over everything in your book? So, no Dark Mill South, no heroine named Temperance, no town named Last Chance or Deliverance or anything like that. But anyway, as engrossing and bloody as the slasher films to which it pays homage, Don't Fear the Reaper is a potent cocktail of murder, mayhem, revenge, and salvation, as Jade reunites with past allies to save the bizarre, quaint lake town that she calls home. Okay, well, the pub sheet keeps saying that this is a paperback release for September. Maybe check the. Well, no, this has mainstream blurbs on it, so I find it hard to believe this came out this year. It wouldn't get blurbed like this. I wonder if the pub sheet will tell us anything helpful. Yeah, this was last year. Okay, so paperback. Don't Fear the Reaper is coming out in paperback. Then we have something coming out in December, towards the end of the year. This is an author I absolutely love. Never read anything by him that didn't stretch my brain in a good way. This is Magus, The Art of Magic from Faustus to Agrippa. The story of magic in human society. Do I have a sheet for you? No? Oh, no, okay. This is a revelatory new account of the learned magician and his place in the intellectual, social, and cultural world of Renaissance Europe. In literary legend, Faustus is the quintessential occult personality of early modern Europe. The historical Faustus, however, was something quite different. A magus, a learned magician fully embedded in the scholarly currents and public life of the Renaissance, and he was hardly the only one. Anthony Graffin argues that the magus in 16th century Europe was a distinctive intellectual type, both different from and indebted to medieval counterparts, as well as contemporaries like the engineer, the artist, the Christian humanist, and the religious reformer. Alongside these better-known figures, the learned magician had a transformative impact on his social world. Okay. All right. Okay. I love Anthony Grafton, and he didn't write this copy. Magicians aren't real. They aren't the same thing as engineers and artists. Okay, they aren't the same thing because they're not real. They're con men. Because there's no such thing as magic, as I'm increasingly feeling the need to say in the 21st century. This book details the arts and experiences of learned magicians like Marsilio Ficino, Pico della Mirandola, Johannes Trithmaeus, and Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. The author explores their methods and the knowledge they produced. They didn't produce any knowledge. And services they provided. They didn't provide any services. Magic is not real. And the overlapping political and social milieus to which they aspired, often the circles of kings and princes. During the late 15th and early 16th century, these erudite men anchored debates about illicit and licit magic, the divine and the diabolical, the nature of good and bad magicians. Over time, they turned magic into a complex art. They did not. There is no such thing. They did not do that. Into a complex art which drew on contemporary engineering as well as classical astrology, probed the limits of what was acceptable in a changing society, and promised new ways to explore the self and exploit the cosmos. They did nothing of the kind. They merely claimed to do it. This has got to be just the cover copy, because this author is subtle and really, really smart. So I know that I'm a little bit gun shy because I just read a book, just recently I read a book in which the author is talking all about medieval medical practices, leeching, cupping, which is all the rage in the 21st century, bloodletting, the four humors, and never once in the course of the books even glancingly mentions that these things aren't real, that they are thoroughly discredited. And I know a lot of young people who especially online, terminally online young people, who say, well, how do we know that they're not real? If I want to go to Beth Israel and get treated for my humors, you should oblige me or my parents will sue you. I just want to stress that. These figures, these learned magicians, were not learned in an art. They were not perfecting an art. They did not ever, at any point, do any magic, because magic doesn't exist. So anyway, we would be living in a different world. Obviously, we'd be living in a different world. Anyway, resituating the Magus in the social, cultural, and intellectual order of European Renaissance Europe, Grafton sheds new light on both the recesses of the learned magician's mind and the many worlds he inhabited. There's only one world. He didn't inhabit any other worlds. But anyway, I'm gonna let it go. I love this author. I've read everything by him, and I love it. So I know I'm going to love this book. But I could do without the back cover muddying the waters further in an era that is going to be known to future eras as the birth of a new science denialism. That started in the last 8 years. I wonder why. And it's now rampant, absolutely rampant, in the United States, and also, before you get smug, if you're in Holland or in Canada, it's around you too. It's absolutely rampant. It goes hand in hand with a complete systematic failure of the educational system. But I guarantee you that if you work in an office or a building of any kind, I guarantee you work with someone who has been told and shown that the earth revolves around the sun and does not believe it. Believes the sun revolves around the earth because that's what they can see. I guarantee you work with an adult who believes that, at least one. But anyway, let's not ramble. Let's go on to something else. We'll go on to something. This is coming out in November. This is by Lauren Nosset, and it's a novel called The Professor. So what have we got here? No sheet. This is a gripping campus thriller. For those of you who like your campus thrillers, this ought to be on your radar. On a spring afternoon in Athens, Georgia, Ethan Haddock is discovered in his apartment dead, apparently by his own hand. His fatality immediately garners media attention, not because his death reflects the troubling increases in depression and mental health issues among college students, but because the media has caught whiff of a scandal. His professor, Dr. Verena Sobek, has been taken in for questioning, and there are rumors his death is the result of a bad romance. A Title IX investigation is opened, the professor is suspended, and social media crusaders and trolls alike are out for blood. Marlet Kaplan never investigated love affairs. A former detective turned research assistant, she misses the excitement of her old job, but most of all the friendship of her partner Teddy. When her mother, a professor at the university and colleague of the accused professor, asks her for help, she finds herself in the impossible position of proving something that didn't happen. Without the credentials to interview suspects or access phone records, she will have to get closer to the victim's life than ever before. A standing question in murder mysteries, one that I've encountered myself as I've tried to write some murder mysteries, is that, yes, the way to investigate a murder mystery has been taken up almost entirely in the hands of official law enforcement. Not only can she not get phone records or, GPS travel records from the victim, but if she tried to do that, she could be arrested for obstructing the case. In most jurisdictions in most parts of the world, they are entirely in the hands of the cops. So, I don't know, is the era of the amateur detective over? But anyway, and she quickly finds herself in his apartment, having dinner with his roommates, even sleeping in his bed. But is she too close to see the truth? In her relentless pursuit to uncover the mystery behind Ethan's death, Marlett will be forced to confront the power structures ingrained in the classroom against the backdrop of a historic campus and an institution that sometimes fails its most vulnerable members. This is going to be my standing question about this novel. A young male college student is found dead, and suspicion starts to center around a female college professor. So in 2023, why wouldn't the reaction to both those things be, so what? Garbage was killed, so who cares who killed him? And if she did it, she had a reason to believe all women. So it's not possible that the novel is going to find the professor guilty. That's not possible. That's not going to happen. And it's also, the cover copy here makes me think that maybe a psychological twist in the book will be that somehow, what was her name again? Marlett Kaplan is somehow responsible. Eating his food, sleeping in his bed, that maybe the psychological twist is somehow involved there, but she's invulnerable too. She can't end up being the murderer either. So it's got to be something else. Someone, institutional, white, and male, has got to be guilty here. If there's a murder in the book, maybe there isn't. But if there is, you already know in a modern murder mystery who cannot be the guilty party. And everyone on this back cover, it cannot be the guilty party. The guilty party's dead. Well, it comes out, what do we know about the author? A professor turned novelist with a PhD in German literature. Her debut was The Resemblance. Do I remember that? Did we see that on this channel? Have any of you read The Resemblance? I don't remember it myself. Hearing it, I don't remember it. I'd have to maybe look at it. I'm sure I have a copy somewhere. But this comes out in November. Campus murder mystery. A lot of you really, really like those. A lot of you love, what's her name? R.F. Huang, Babel, a big phenom book from last year that was a booktube darling. But anyway, let's move on. We've got a work of nonfiction here now. We've got from in October. This is by Edward Ayers, and it is American Visions, the United States, 1800 to 1860. So, a pretty big canvas here for a book that's not that long. How long is this? Barely over 300 pages. So, probably ideological rather than sweeping or narrative, certainly not comprehensive. But let's see what we have here. With so many of our histories falling into dour critique and bland celebration, here is a welcome departure, a book that offers hope as well as honesty about the American past. Okay, all right, but not hope for anybody. There's a class of people who don't deserve hope and won't get it from this narrative. And, being a card-carrying, due-paying member of that class, I'm looking at the years involved and thinking, well, even though I don't like this invidious, openly bigoted skew of all writing and all academia in America, nevertheless, in the years covered by this book, what kind of a narrative could you write that would give hope to white people who were... There were a lot of crimes being done in America, a lot of evils being done in America between 1800 and 1860. And it was white people who were doing all of them. So even though I don't like the gist, we'll have to see. Let's see who's going to get the hope here. I know who it's not going to be. And in this case, it couldn't be. The white people in these years were exterminating literally everything that lived that wasn't them. Literally everything. And even sometimes there were huge blood feuds that ran between states and between families in these years that killed dozens and dozens of people. But on the broader scale, white people in these years were committing systematic genocide in a steadily broadening range in the westward direction, just literally exterminating everything, every living thing that they came across. So wolves, the American bison, the passenger pigeon, almost 90% of the breeding population of American beavers, and all of the First Nations people who were in their way between them and the sparkling Pacific. So let's see what the book says here. The early decades of the 19th century saw the expansion of slavery, native dispossession, mass immigration, and wars of continental neighbors. Okay, mass immigration, not anywhere near what it was going to be, but and that dispossession is funny. And yet, eccentric visions altered the accepted wisdom. Voices from the margins moved to the center. Acts of empathy defied self-interest. All right, whoever wrote this cover copy has earned their pay for the week because they're starting to turn me around. You have to work pretty hard to stop a Steve rant in mid-steam, and this is doing it. The author's rich history examines the visions that moved Frederick Douglass, Margaret Fuller, Native American activist William Appice, to challenge vastly powerful practices and beliefs. Melville and Thoreau, Joseph Smith, and Samuel Morse were similarly moved to harness their creativity to forge new paths forward. These visionaries and critics built vigorous traditions of innovation and dissent into the very foundation of the nation. Damn it! I had such a good rant going. But those things are true, and now I'm kind of on board with this thing. I hate losing a good rant. I should do a writing video so I can just yell at you. Okay. That does sound good. Now I'm curious. Let's read just the beginning of this thing. This comes out in October. This book is about visions. Imagine paths between things that as they are and what they might become. To a remarkable extent, the visions that have defined the United States appeared in the first two-thirds of the 19th century. Key elements of national life crystallized then, from the country's borders to the shape of its politics, from its religion's identity to the themes of its literature. Americans of all kinds fashioned word by word a vocabulary to describe the new nation taking shape before their eyes. Okay, all right. American Visions, people. This comes out in October. I don't think I have any more of a date than that. No, it just says October. I think I'm going to read this tonight. Pretty sure that I am. All right, and then we'll finish up before we go on to our other book haul, because I mentioned 2 book hauls. We'll go on, because I have some explaining to do. We'll go on to this next one. This is by William Fortune. This is 5 years later. This is a John Matherson novel. Those of you who are familiar with what this author is doing with these books will know this is the latest in his series. I've read this series, so I'm going to be able to jump in. I don't really know how possible that would be for a newcomer. Let's see what we have here. This is already out. This is already in your bookstores. Let's see here. The author is a military historian and a renowned EMP expert. That's electromagnetic pulse. And that sort of gives away what the after is here. All of these books, 5 minutes after, 5 hours after, 5 days after, are all about an EMP pulse, which is theorized to be a gigantic worldwide energy burst that fries higher energy functions in the world. So after an EMP pulse, nothing works. Nothing that is electronic or anything like that works. Mechanical stuff works, but that's all. Sort of like the real world equivalent of the thing that happens at the beginning of the Emberverse novels by S.M. Sterling. So let's see here. He returns with the newest installment in the series that took readers by storm, beginning with 1 Second After, which was a heck of a book. 1 Second After was a heck of a book. Which Congress cited as a book every American should read and was discussed in the Pentagon as a truly realistic look at a weapon with the potential to destroy the United States as we know it within just 1 second. Okay, I didn't know that the U.S. Congress recommended it, or I wouldn't, because the U.S. Congress is really, 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 really gross. Let's hope there are 1 or 2 people in Congress who aren't really gross monsters. Maybe it's one of them that recommended it. That would be great. This book continues the terrifying story of the all too possible future John Matheson has fought to save himself, his family, and his small town in North Carolina from the devastating aftermath of the electromagnetic pulse that plunged the United States into darkness. Black Mountain, North Carolina, has suffered famine, civil war, tyrannical federal governments, and countless deaths. And now the Republic of New America has all but collapsed into regional powers, and conflicts rising from the instability ravage the post-EMP landscape. And this will be fairly accurate. There won't be any giant mutant lizards. No super-eating flesh, no multi-tentacled human monsters. When John Matheson is informed that the president is dying from a possible assassination attempt, he finds himself stepping back into the fray to try to hold the tottering republic together. Facing threats on multiple fronts, including what appears to be a rising military power hidden in the wreckage of the world, Matheson races against time to stop another EMP attack on the former United States and China, putting years of progress at risk and threatening to leave the nation in the dark for good. John must find the strength within to start over so that he can save the country and the people that he holds dear from even greater calamity. I mean, he's been out of the picture for a bit, and now he's called back in. Maybe that plot structure would make it possible for you to jump right in here. I've worried recommending these books to other people. What are the names of the other ones? I've worried recommending them aside from the first one. 1 second after, 1 year after, and the final day. I've worried recommending any of these except the first one because, and I will hesitate to recommend this one as well because this sounds like it's sort of being built as a jump-on point, but maybe not enough. You could try it. Absolutely, it'll be at your library. If you like the writing style, if you borrow this one from the library and you like the writing style and you still feel a little bit behind the 8 ball, well, you've got a series to catch up on. That's always a fun thing. So that's our mail haul, one of 2. The other mail haul that I wanted to talk about is the subject of a rather scandalous admission that I made on a video yesterday. I was talking about some booktubers. Or no, it was sometime this week. I don't know. I've made 30 videos this week, so I don't know. It was sometime this week. I made a video about booktubers that I always click on when they make a new video, and I included on that list Jack Edwards, the Demon Smurf. There's like 2 million subscribers on his 2 different channels. A hugely influential, gigantic presence on BookTube, one of the largest presence on BookTube. And that was a bit of a surprise to a lot of you because, well, I have referred to him as my nemesis, and I still do. Even though I know a lot of you like him. And even though I know for a fact, regardless of whether or not you like him, I know for a fact that thousands of people out there do, unironically, love his videos. All you have to do is look at some of his comments fields. If you can't stand the way he talks about books, you can't stand his on-camera persona, then mute the video and just read the comments field of 5 or 6 of his videos. That sentiment, the sentiments in those comments field cannot be faked. Say what you want about the kinds of videos that he chooses to make. He is definitely reaching people. He is definitely igniting a renewed or new love of reading in thousands of people. Which is no small thing. I guess I knew that beforehand, but I didn't want to credit him with anything. I didn't want to credit him with anything. Then he's doing this series. Oh, it'll be the death of me. It'll be the death of me. Talk about the end of a good rant. He's doing this series of videos where he has finally taken charge of his books, which is something we all need to do. And not all of us do it. I am in the process of doing it right now. He has a room at the top of the stairs, a beautiful little room. I get the impression that I know its dimensions fairly well. I think it probably has 1 window. And there were walls that were bare. Probably took a bit of work to get it that way. And he decided, okay, I'm sick of having books double stacked and triple stacked in closets behind doors and other crap. I want all my books on my shelves where I can see them. Nice and neat. So he bit the bullet and bought bookcases and assembled them on camera and then put his books on the shelves on camera. And I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Absolutely. Want somebody fill a space like that and make it look so good? I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. And also, during those videos, one of my complaints about Jack Edwards for the whole time that I've been talking about him has been that I don't think that the Smurfy creature that you see on camera is anything like the person that you would meet on the street. I don't think they're anything alike. And when I get that sensation, it always bugs me. As nobody likes the feeling of being, had or being lied to. But I swear, during the videos when he was bringing those bookcases in, assembling them, putting them up, putting the books on them, the enthusiasm coming out of those videos was, I don't think it was mistakable. I don't think it was counterfeit. I don't think it could have been. And it kind of won me over. I'm such a softie that that's all it takes. It kind of won me over. Now, I'm sure that before long, he's going to go back to his usual stuff. He's going to go back to his usual shtick of, cokehead celebrity A, B, or C pretended to read these books on Book Talk or TikTok. So I'm going to go to the store, buy them all, and I'll also pretend to read them. Stuff like that makes reading into a kind of video game. Of course I hate that. Of course I hate that approach to reading. I hate a gimmicky approach to reading. But he isn't doing that right now. And the other day he did a book haul video as well. That's the second book haul in this video. He did a 50 book haul. Now, I want to talk about the book haul a little. Because it had a couple of surprises to me, and that is rare when it comes to Jack Edwards. I've pretty much triangulated what he likes to show on camera, what he likes to hold up, what he likes to say he's enthused about, what he likes to buy in bookstores. I've pretty much got a handle on what that is. He's absolutely allergic to book length, and he's absolutely allergic to book complexity. So which sets him up just fine. He's not alone. It sets him up just fine for the 21st century fiction publishing market. Because look at all the wan, underfed little things that we get in the market. Tiny, whey-faced, little swaying, eyes half closed attempts at something like fiction. That's the closest it ever gets to being fiction, because it's all intensely autobiographical. It's all intensely autofiction. I don't think I've read a contemporary piece of so-called literary fiction in months that I couldn't map onto the author's Instagram or Twitter feed word for word. So they just sort of show up, they're Gen Z, so they're younger than 35. The authors are younger than 35, which means that no one has ever made them do anything. They've never had to learn how to concentrate or pay attention for anything longer than 5 minutes. They've never been disciplined for scrolling on their phone in the middle of a school classroom. And also, I don't want to stress this too much, but they've been heavily medicated since they were 8 years old, with medicines that were pushed into the world by Big Pharma through bought and paid for doctors. So no one has any idea what the long-term effects of those medications are. None whatsoever. The world's cratering sperm rates might be one of those, where they're just falling off a cliff. That might be one widespread long-term effect. I'm no biochemist, so I wouldn't know. But that's the kind of stuff that comes out under the rubric of fiction, and that's pretty much all Jack Edwards seems to hold up on camera. But he hauled 50 books. Now, in the video, he said something I'm not going to hold against him. You might think I would pounce on it, but I'm not going to. He said in the video, I accumulate these things. I buy them for whatever reason. I saw a recommendation, got a recommendation from a friend. It interested me in a bookstore. I buy them and I put them aside. And I accumulate them until I have a large amount, and then I go through them. And at one point in the video, he said, these are all the books I'm going to read for the next year. And I snickered out loud, and I'm pretty sure that everyone watching the video snickered out loud, because that's obviously not going to be true. And that's for two reasons. One is the one that he mentions himself explicitly in his video, which is that holding up a print and paper book makes for better video making than just talking about an ebook. That is absolutely true. There's nothing wrong with that. That's one reason why these certainly are not going to be the only books that he has for a year. The other one, though, is immediately accessible to everyone listening to me and to me, which is that his willpower will break down. Any book person's willpower is going to break down. You might say, all right, that's it. That's all for the year, but it's not going to happen. You're going to be in a bookstore somewhere, new or used, and you're going to see something that your will is going to snap and you're going to get it. So I don't think many people watching his video believed that. But that was the excuse he gave on camera for why there were so many books in this book haul. And most of those books were exactly what I was expecting. Mieko Kawakami, most of it was exactly what I was expecting. Just this way feckless, sort of androgynous, colorless, dramaless, plotless, plot arcless, resolutionless things that just sort of sit there. They just sort of sit there. So that you'll have two characters get introduced, and maybe one of those houses burn down, and they don't seem to care all that much. And then at the halfway point, the character who is narrating the book, who is indistinguishable from the author, will say, oh, another thing I was thinking about. And you're reading it, if you're not born in the 21st century, you're reading that and thinking, well, never mind another thing that you're thinking about. What's the plot of this book? What is at stake here? What is going to change in our characters here? None of those things happen anymore. Oh, baby, is that your... Oh, baby. Oh, goodness. Oh, it's so big. Who's the baby? Who's the baby? But there were a couple of surprises in his 50 book haul. And the biggest one of all, I swear, if I had been drinking water, I would have done a classic spit take. Because at one point in his book haul, he mentions that he has been lately very obsessed with Samuel Johnson. The very first thought I had when I heard that was, oh, has a Korean pop band member renamed himself Samuel Johnson? If you flash a picture up on the screen, is that what it's going to be? A 60-pound Korean pop star? No, he meant the Samuel Johnson. He held up, I think, David Noakes' biography of Johnson, said that he's obsessed with Johnson. With my Samuel Johnson, with the Samuel Johnson. That made me think for a brief, vertiginous moment that I have been imagining Jack Edwards all along. This is some sort of elaborate psyop. So even if I weren't enamored by this book, this little library room drama that he's got going on, I did not understand the camera placement in this book haul of his. I'll leave a link to it. I don't think I need to because he's got 1 million subscribers. But he's got the right angle of the bookcases right in the room. He's carefully set them up. He's filled them with bright, multicolored books. Not one of which I would take from him. If he were downstairs making pancakes and I snuck up to that room specifically to steal books, as one does, I don't think there's anything that I would take. They're all these make-weight modern novels. But doesn't matter. It's where his passion is. But in the camera angle, the corner of the room is right behind him. The wings of the bookcases go out, but they stop right here on either side. There's a black border on either side. Why wouldn't you pull the camera in just a foot? Just a meter, so that it's all books behind you instead of these ominous open spaces. But as long as he's doing these kinds of things, these kinds of, I'm filling up my library, I'm just talking about these things. Granted, the way he talks about books is often, it often does irritate me. It often does whiff of fake. Of just, I spent more time coming up with the quip about this book than I will ever spend reading it. I will barely dip into it. Granted, that is still true. Very dad joke, quippy type delivery, but the air of comparative honesty was still there. So I was automatically thinking about 2 book hauls when I was making this video. The only difference being the one thing that I want to caution you about. I admit, I've admitted many times, I've made a point of it on this channel, that Jack Edwards has often annoyed me in the past. I don't like the way he makes a drinking game out of my favorite thing. I don't like the way he relentlessly shallows something that has the potential to change your whole life. I don't like the way he seems to do on TikTok and on Twitter, on BookTube, of linking a certain kind of playing games with books as being the cool way to engage with books. And I don't like the fact that attempt on his part is making him more and more influential in the book world itself. My irritation over that is lessened by the fact that the vast majority of the people in the comments fields on his videos aren't really paying him much attention to that. They're paying attention to the books that he has read, that he personally recommends, and what he says about them. The vast majority of the people in his comments field are ignoring the gimmicks that he uses. It's a shame that he absolutely never even glances at his comments field. That's a shame, because if he did, he might spare himself some trouble and drop the gimmicks, because they're not the things that are landing. But it's obvious that he never looks at his comments field, so he's never going to know that. No, it's not the irritation. I have been irritated with him before for being shallow or even, algorithm manipulating in a way. But I have almost never known him to be flat out irresponsible. He has a vast audience. He has a vast footprint in social media, which means that young as he is, he has responsibilities. There's no way to avoid that. You can only do them well, or you can fail them. And in his book haul video, he had an egregious failure, an unbelievable failure, something that I would think, I don't want to think this kid is motivated solely by money. I don't want to think that. But I can't come up with another reason why anyone would do an in-video ad for BetterHelp, which he did. in his book haul video. He doesn't just have an ad at the beginning or at the end. He talks about it himself. That's money. They had to pay him premium money to get him to do that. A channel his size, if they scale their rates, he probably made a good deal of money from that ad. I, of course, don't have his subscribers. My total subscriber count is a rounding error to his subscribers. He could lose my total number of subscribers overnight and not even notice it. So my reach isn't anywhere near as wide, but nevertheless, I want to stress, for any of you who watch Jack Edwards' videos, I don't know what was in his mind. Not to do even the barest bit of due diligence when it came to BetterHelp, but if you watch his videos and you don't know about BetterHelp, you really should do a little bit of due diligence about them. They are profoundly untrustworthy. Profoundly so. There are endless testimonials from people who tried them and say the worst, most horrible things about them. You do not know. For those of you who don't know, it's a kind of a you don't have to get off your couch therapy app where you can just sort of swipe right or swipe left on various therapists through the BetterHelp process, get matched with one of them, and then book your time. It's a lot less expensive. You don't have any way of knowing if those people on the other side of that camera connection are therapists. You don't have any way of knowing that. And before you even get to them, to these people who might very well all be frauds, before you even get to them, you have to turn over a vast truckload of data to BetterHelp. And that was the source of the scandal that enveloped them years ago. I thought I'd seen the last of them. I couldn't believe it when Jack Edwards did an in-video sponsorship for them and said that he uses them. I don't believe that he does, but if he does, he very much shouldn't. And you shouldn't either. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they settled with the FTC for nearly $8 million in response to complaints from customers of theirs who said, the therapy I got was terrible or shoddy. Their therapists were extremely unprofessional or in many cases directly inappropriate. And BetterHelp shared my data with all sorts of people, even though the fine print of the forms that I was filling out to get my therapist said they wouldn't. They did. And keep in mind, when a big company like this shares your data, they're not sharing your data in the aggregate. They're sharing your name, your address, your credit card number. They're sharing your specifics with these companies. It's a very big, booming market. Companies buying blocks of data from each other. An online service that bills itself as psychotherapy that is doing that. A large number of complaints were lodged with the FTC, and BetterHelp settled with the FTC for nearly $8 million. Do you know what you do if the FTC is threatening to bring charges against you and you are innocent? You don't settle. It's your good name that you're protecting, and you can't put a high enough price on that, so you don't settle. Instead, you get vindicated and maybe make it right individually with a whole bunch of people. Although how you can make it right with how many people have hated BetterHelp, I don't know. They didn't do that. They settled. And the reason you settle is because you know you'll lose at court. And you'll lose a lot more than you would pay in a settlement. There isn't any other reason to do that. BetterHelp isn't going out handing out checks to people. Except Jack Edwards. So you watch this video, find if your literary tastes align more with his than they do with mine, then you might see a lot of books in this 50-book haul of his that'll be a lot more interesting to you than the stuff that I've just shown you. But kindly ignore the commercial. And geez, Jack Edwards should do better. Really, he really should do better. There are sponsors out there, and there are sponsors out there. There is no reason, if you've got 1 million subscribers, there is absolutely no reason for you to get in bed with an outfit as sketchy as this. So just don't do it. How many YouTubers 4 years ago had to go on camera and apologize? How many of them did? Does Jack Edwards want to make that video? Anyway, I just thought I'd warn you. Feel free, if you don't believe me, feel free to type into Google BetterHelp, all one word, and FTC. Get all the details for yourself. But those are the two book hauls that we got here. You're never going to see an in-video ad on this channel. But you're never going to see a 50-book haul either. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. This went long. I'm sorry. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.